Hi, in today's video English lesson, we're going to learn some useful phrases for participating in meetings and discussions. Now, if English is not your native language and you're not yet so comfortable with your English, then a meeting or a discussion with your friends or colleagues might just pass you by without you ever really saying anything. So it's not that you don't have anything to say or that you don't have any opinions or that you don't want to make any suggestions. It's just that you just don't know how to get the words in. So with today's English lesson, we're going to fix all that. I'm going to give you some of the phrases you need in order to start participating in some of these discussions. Now let's head over to the board. When it comes to meetings, as participants, there are several important functions you must be able to do in English for the meeting to be useful for all parties involved. Additionally, the meeting should achieve its purpose, which brings us to the question, why do we meet in the first place? Everyone in the organization has different knowledge and skills that they bring to the table. The meeting then is the forum in which we bring everyone to that table and we present, discuss, suggest, debate, and in the end, we decide. This lecture will bring the two main functions into focus: participating in discussions both individually and interacting with the others back and forth. When it comes to participating in discussions individually, there are four main functions you need to be able to do. You need to be able to make suggestions, give opinions, agree, and disagree. Let's take a closer look at the useful phrases for each of these functions in business English meetings. So let's look at some example sentences and I'll explain how we set them up grammatically and what functions they serve. First example, I think we should do a survey of our employees. This is a modal verb, should. I think we should do something. After should, we use an infinitive without to. So not should to do, but just should do. Not should doing, not should to do, just should do. The next example is, why don't we give incentives to those who participate? In this example, we make a question with why plus the negative present simple. Why don't we give? Why don't we do? Why don't we go? Why don't we participate? This is another way that we can make suggestions. The third example, how about paying for their benefits? In this example, we formed another type of question with how about plus a gerund. Well, a gerund is a verb in the ing form, and gerunds come after prepositions. So how about going? How about doing? How about paying for? This is how we form the how about way of making a suggestion. And last but not least, it might be a good idea to reward the most enthusiastic. So here we use a phrase, a good idea, plus the infinitive. Now, of course, we can change from good to great or an excellent idea. So we can use some different variations of this. And of course, before a good idea, instead of saying it might be, it could be, or it is, a good idea to reward the most enthusiastic. So with good idea, we can use modal verbs or just the verb to be. It is a good idea. It might be a good idea. It could be. It would be. We can say this in different ways. And after idea, we'll use the infinitive to round it out. All right, now let's move on to opinions and get some useful phrases for that. Our first example is we've got to do something. Now, the type here is a modal verb, have got to. We don't need to add got. We have to, we have got to, we've got to. And this is for an obligation and gives us a strong opinion. Because have to and have got to is like must, right? It's stronger than should. And we can strengthen this with a bit of intonation by, for example, breaking apart the contraction. We have got to do something. Or we can contract and say, we've got to do something. Or we have to do something. You can put different stress on the words like have to, have got to. So we can put different stress on this to make our opinion even stronger. Now, in the next example, I think we should definitely pay for their subscriptions. Notice the word definitely there. We use adverbs in order to add emphasis to what we want to say. So we should definitely pay. We should probably pay. So adverbs are words that end with ly, and we can add an adverb to this. The next example, it would certainly be popular. Here we use the modal verb for hypotheticals. It would be popular. And of course, we added the adverb certainly, as in the example before, to strengthen it a little bit. So it would certainly be popular. It's strong hypothetical. And the last example, on the other hand, it could be expensive. Now we use a linking expression to introduce a contrasting or opposing opinion. So if the person that was presenting before us was arguing the opposite, we can say on the other hand. So on the one hand, that's one side. On the other hand, on the other side. It could be expensive. Right? Now let's move on to agreeing. The first example, I suppose we could do that. Now, I want you to note the differences in intonation for strength. I suppose we could do that. I suppose we could do that. So different forms of intonation sounds out how much we agree. So if I am in stronger agreement, I suppose we could do that. So the different intonation changes the strength of how much we agree with the other person. The next example, I think I might agree with you. We can add modals to qualify our agreement. I could say simply, I think I agree with you. Now, instead of using an adverb, I might say, I might agree with you. Or I think I might agree with you. So we use a modal verb of uncertainty to qualify the agreement. It's not total agreement, but it's partial agreement. In the third example, yeah, you're right. Or yeah, you're probably right. Or yeah, you're definitely right. So we can combine intonation and adverbs for strength of agreement. So adverbs, probably, definitely, and intonation. Yeah, you're definitely right. or yeah, you're probably right. So when we stretch the words out a little bit, we can add a bit of intonation to show how much or how little we agree. And I completely agree. We can add totally or completely for 100% certainty. And last but not least, here are some useful phrases for disagreeing. In the first example, I don't know. Sometimes we can use filler sounds to signal disagreement. Well, So these different filler sounds, well, these are ways that we signal from the start that we don't totally agree with the other person. The next example, I still think it's a good idea. Here we use the word still to disagree with the opposing view. We have already stated our position. The other person made a counter argument. And we said, okay, but I still think it's a good idea. Now, the third example, I'm not sure it's a good idea. Expressions of uncertainty signal disagreement. I'm not sure, I'm uncertain, probably. These are expressions of uncertainty, and we can use them to signal our disagreement. And lastly, I'm afraid it's out of the question. We often use phrases like I'm afraid or I'm sorry to signal disagreement or to give bad news. And the expression out of the question basically means it's not possible. Now, these are just some of the basic English phrases for business English and participating in meetings. These starter phrases will help you say what you think in a meeting. Hey, English learners, you just learned a lot of really useful phrases for participating in meetings and discussions. Not only did we learn the phrases for making suggestions, giving opinions, agreeing, disagreeing, but we also learned how to use intonation in the right places and to put proper emphasis on some of those phrases. Now, like any good teacher, I'm going to give you a bit of homework. Down in the video description, you can find a link to download a cheat sheet with all the phrases presented here today. You can take those phrases, you can practice them until you feel comfortable using them in real situations. Additionally, there's an exercise that I made for you, and you can do and practice that dialogue until you feel comfortable with these phrases. So with that said, that's it for today, and I'll see you next time.